Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to show you 5 dribbling exercises that you can do to improve your close control dribbling, as well as your ability to maneuver with the ball efficiently around the pitch. Just before we get into them, I want to say a huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my website, 7mlctraining.com, and from websites to analytics to marketing tools, they're the all-in-one place to grow your online presence and manage your business. So jumping straight into the first exercise, I've placed down 2 cones, 2 wide steps apart, and of course you're going to need a football. This is a great warm-up activity to get plenty of touches and just get you prepared for the following exercises to come. So we're going to start at either side, and the key here is to have a low center of gravity, so a slight bend in the knee, slightly leaning over the ball. This is going to help you with your control and your balance, but we're trying to get as many touches as we can. So we're going to get a touch of the ball with every step, and we're going to work in a figure of 8 around these 2 cones. So we're getting nice and tight around the cones here, keeping the ball close to our feet, loads of touches. As you can see, we're making a figure of 8 pattern, and I'm just keeping the ball tight to my foot. I'm going to go for about 10 repetitions or so. So every time we get back to the starting point, that's 1 repetition. We can go for 10 repetitions on our right foot and then 10 on our left. This is a great exercise just to get you nice and agile with the ball. So in those tight spaces, if you've got a defender on your back, you can maneuver the ball and get out of trouble. So give this one a go. For the second exercise, I've placed down 4 cones. Each of the cones is 1 wide stride apart from each other. So you can start at either end with the ball, and we're going to work on sharp turns, which is a really effective dribbling method for losing defenders. If you're dribbling quickly in one direction with a defender tight to you and you quickly change direction, you don't even need to throw a move in there. You can lose them just by shifting your weight and getting them off balance. So what we're going to work on here is dribbling from the first cone to the third, cutting it back to the second, and then going to the opposite side, and then we're going to reverse it. So it's little touches, inside cut, to the second cone, outside cut, and push to the top, inside cut. Then we can go to the third cone again. So we go in, outside touch, inside touch, and back to the start. So we're just working on shifting the ball, quickly changing direction, and then accelerating out of the turn with the ball. And I'd recommend going for 10 repetitions with each foot. So this is what it looks like here. Starting at the first cone, shift it to the third, to the second, up to the top, shift it to the second, up to the top, and then we can repeat inside, outside, shift, inside, outside, inside, shift back to the start. And we can do that 10 times and then repeat the same thing with our left foot. Moving into the third exercise, this one's really going to challenge our close control as well as our ability to change angles with the ball. So I've placed down 11 cones here. Starting gate is 1 step apart, and then we have an ending gate opposite, again 1 step apart, and then we have a bunch of cones here in the middle. So we're working on diagonal dribbles, but we're working on longer touches into small tight control touches. So the ability to speed up with the ball as well as slow down and manipulate the ball in tight spaces. So the key for this exercise is to have a low center of gravity, slight bend in the knee, chest slightly over the ball, so we can have good balance, especially when getting around those tight spaces with full control. And then we're going to go from one side to the other. That's 1 repetition. We're going to do 5 with our right foot and then 5 with our left. So this is what it looks like. Loads of little touches into the middle, tight, out, get around these tight cones, out to the opposite side, and then to the ending gate. That's 1 repetition. So I'm going to do 4 more with my right, rest, and then do 5 with my left foot. For the fourth exercise, we've took the classic cone weave and adapted it slightly to allow us to work on varying up the weight and the length of our touches, which is more match realistic, because sometimes in a match you'll need to take those tight touches and maneuver the ball in really small gaps, and then you'll have a little bit more space where you need to push the ball further out of your feet. So this drill really replicates that scenario. So for the first 2 cones, they're 1 step apart. For the next 2, they're 2 steps. For the next 2, 3 steps. And for the final 2, 4 steps. So the gaps between the cones get slightly longer as you progress through the exercise. So we have to adapt our touches so that we're pushing the ball further out of our feet as we get further along. So for the first 2 here, we're taking really tight touches to maneuver the ball in this gap. Then we're slightly lengthening up our touches, getting through the gap, and then we accelerate through this end gate here. So as you can see, we're working on a variety of touches here, slightly increasing the weight of our touches as we get through those bigger gaps, which is going to replicate the game slightly more. So what we're going to do here is do 1 repetition, get to the starting gate, walk back to the start with the ball, and repeat it 10 times. And the 5th and final exercise is free dribbling. So up until this point, we've been working with cones, which allows us to develop precise touches, being able to manipulate the ball through certain gaps with that accuracy that we're going to need in a match. But what's also really important is that we dribble with imagination and creativity. So this kind of exercise allows us to develop some instincts, allows us to move freely with the ball without any parameters. So I always like to do a bit of free dribbling after a good cone dribbling training session. So what I do is come into a space. Me personally, I like to work in certain areas of the pitch that I'm going to find myself in during a match. So as a winger, this is a very common area that I'll be dribbling in, going 1v1 against defenders, trying to create space in order to either shoot or get a cross off. But you can just work in an open space. And the goal here is just to get loads of touches, not plan out what you're going to do ahead of time, but just start moving around with the ball and do whatever comes instinctively to you. So I like to just move around, working on different areas of the foot, cross, body feints, moving around. And as a bonus, if you can add some end product after your dribbling, that's going to be even more valuable during a match, because dribbling is a tool that we use to create space, to create opportunities for our team. So I might be in this situation here, trying to create space, coming down the line, and then trying to get that shot away. This is really allowing me to develop those instincts and become more crisp with my movements, which will make me more unpredictable during a match. So just come into an open space, get those touches in, go for 20 to 30 seconds really intensely, rest for a minute, and then repeat 5 to 10 times. So there we have it, 5 dribbling exercises you can use to maneuver around the pitch with sharpness and efficiency. Just before I go, I want to say another huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is where I built my very own website, 7mlctraining.com, and it's become the central hub of my entire brand. It's where I host my podcast, as well as my very own 7-day training program. So if you want to work on ball mastery, dribbling, finishing, speed and agility, as well as improve your first touch, I have 7-day courses to help you take those attributes to another level. I'll leave links to those in the description box down below. But if you've ever considered building a website, you want to represent your brand or your business in the best way possible, check out Squarespace, and by using the link in my description, www.squarespace.com/7mlc, you can get 10% off your first website. But if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.